Hey, my name's Jason. After about 38 years or so in the same basic line of work, I have decided that it's time for a change. I'm 55. I am not ready for the traditional, early retirement. I do have a pension from part of that 37-year career. We'll talk about it here in a minute. And I've got a few bucks saved up, but I'm certainly not ready to call it a career and spend the next phase of my life, on the rocking chair on the front porch. Although I kind of enjoy that sometimes, but not something that I want to do full time. I have spent probably the last year or so um, more hours than I can count in long, deep conversations with Chat GPT and other AI tools as well, but Chat GPT in particular, and feeding it information about my passion, my skills, my abilities, the things that I enjoy doing, and coming up with what I've titled this post fire plan. And you'll catch the play on words here with the post fire plan in a minute. But we together, ChatGPT and I and my wife and some others that I've discussed this with, have developed. I think what I want to try to implement as this next phase. There's a lot of moving pieces. One of them, you'll see behind us here in this RV that my wife and I live in full time right now. Part of the master plan, the larger overall plan, has been selling the house that we built 20 years or so ago and raised our children in. And now that they're up and gone, we were ready for a change, a little bit of a downsize to a smaller home. So we sold that house. We're building a new one. We'll be spending some time on that, spending some time on the development of this small acreage that we're building the house on here. I'll take you through some tours around it a little bit in the future. We'll certainly work together on our plans and take you through the construction of that house. I'm looking forward to that. Part of the plan when I implemented, in those early stages, was that I quit my full time job about 2 years ago, and I'm now a consultant. Luckily for the same company that I worked for a number of years after my the first phase of my career was over. So, what was that career, and what is the line of work that I'm in? I spent about 25 years as a firefighter paramedic, and later as a fire marshal, a fire investigator, and a fire code official in a suburban fire department. Best job ever, right? I started right out of high school. Actually, began in high school, and like I said, I did 25 years of that. And for those of you in that line of work, you know what I mean when I say best job ever, best career ever. It opened the doors to so many things. I got to help so many good people. Of course we had to see a lot of bad things as well, but I am blessed and thrilled that I chose that as my career, and loved almost every minute of that. So retired from that about a dozen or so years ago. So as part of that retirement package plan, if you will, I do have that pension as that helps support some of these other things. So again, totally blessed from that standpoint. I don't have to bring in quite the income that I needed to a few years ago when our kids were little, and that helps me to be able to do some of these fun things as well. So after that 25-year fire service career, I went to work for the fire protection industry, specifically the fire sprinkler and fire alarm sides of that industry. I was a trainer, a speaker, presenter, a program manager, and a codes and standards development person. That's what I spent the last, like I said, dozen or so years doing. I, I don't want to repeat myself, but just the best gig ever, right? I got to travel around the country, really around the world, presenting, speaking, attending meetings. I've been blessed to have stayed in some of the finest hotels in the on the prettiest places on the planet. Wouldn't trade any of that for the world. But again, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready to slow down. I'm ready to focus on some of those things that I want to do instead of those that I have to. And believe me, I can hear the eyes rolling, can feel it through the screen. Some of you that are saying, I sure wish I had this guy's problems. And I get that. I am totally blessed. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm ready for a change, and I'm ready to focus on some other things. I mentioned the this RV full time. Now we're not looking to travel full time. I've spent so many years on the road now that travel doesn't excite us that much. We do still travel quite a bit, mostly again kind of because we have to with some of the roles that I have today. But the goal is to pare those back, do less and less of that. But we'll take you on some of those trips as we go through that phase. The building of the house, the launching of a new business. We're going to launch a new business, kind of filling a gap in the fire protection industry that I know exists, and I've got some partners, and we're working through that plan now. So we'll take you along on that ride as well. You'll hear a lot more about that as we go along. So the last piece that I want to mention is why YouTube? Why are we on here? Why are we on here discussing this together? Well, a couple of things. Number one, it's part of this post-fire plan. It's a creative outlet that sometimes when you're at this phase of our lives, some of you that are my generation know what I'm talking about. We're too busy to indulge in some of that creative side of what we want to do. So YouTube certainly offers that ability to me. I want to learn some new skills. I want to create a new community on that side. The other piece is the accountability side. And this can't be overstated. As part of this plan, I'm going to need some help. I need some guidance, I need some advice, and I need some accountability. And that, I think there's never been a better outlet for some of that than YouTube. I'm going to depend on you, my viewers and my watchers and my partners in this plan to hold me accountable, keep me on track when I start to drift, and let's let's do this together. That's kind of the goal. So that's my hope. The third piece about YouTube is that I am a big fan of YouTube. Right, I am a connoisseur of YouTube. I've got my favorites like everybody, and we'll spend some time talking about some of those. But all my early retirement folks that I watch, my financial planning people that I love to get advice from, my my home builder friends that I watch, and learn tips and tricks from as we go through this home building exercise. We will certainly spend a lot of time on YouTube, but I love YouTube. I think it's one of the last kind of bastions of genuine content that's out there. There's nothing good on television anymore, right? And if you want to go find something that interests you, you can find it on YouTube, and that's why I chose YouTube. It's almost besides the accountability piece, it's kind of my give back. I feel bad about just being a consumer on YouTube, and I want to start being a content provider. I've spent a lot of time, decades presenting and talking to groups, so I enjoy that piece, and I want to grow this audience. But again, I ask for something in return, and that's to hold me accountable. So over the next few videos, we'll talk about the more details of this post-fire plan, what it looks like, and what it entails. I'll talk about how I used Chat GPT and some of these other AI tools to help develop it. I'll talk about how I've used AI in some of my home plans, and we'll work on the final designs for this house as we try to get it out of the ground over the next several months. I'll take you on some trips. We'll have some fun. So hopefully you'll click that like button, you'll smash that subscribe button as everybody asks you to do, and come along with me, and I look forward to it. Thanks.